Welcome everybody to the third annual Lake County Restaurant Expo. My name's Nicole Flora and I am the Executive Director of the Lake County Economic Development Corporation. Before we get started, I wanted to give Sutter Health a great big thank you for their sponsorship this year. They were able to make this event possible. So let's give a round of applause for
Thank you, Nicole, and the Lake County Economic Development Corporation. As presenting sponsor, Sutter Lakeside Hospital is proud to support you guys, this wonderful group of entrepreneurs who will bring or do bring great food, service, and community spirit to our county. Health and economic vitality go hand in hand. So when businesses like yours thrive, so does the well-being of our community. Together, we're going to build and are building a healthier, stronger Lake County. So give yourselves a round of applause for being here and taking the next steps on your entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you, Camelin. All right, so we have a great lineup for you all today, and I'm so excited to get started. Before we do that, there's a few people I want to thank and a few instructions to give you before we hand it over to Joaquin. First of all, the planning committee, I don't know how many of them are in their room right now because they're all helping me to manage this whole big event, but Weston Seifert from the Saw Shop, Andy Lucas from Community Development Services, Amanda Martin from the Lake County Chamber of Commerce, Lillian Ruby, she's like my right hand, my business services coordinator, Julia Siderakis from West Business Services in Ukiah, and Chef Robert Cabreras from Woodland Community College, and there's a number of other volunteers today. All of these folks really bring this event together, and I could not have done it without them. A quick note, if you have a question, find someone with a hanging name tag like this. They're part of the planning or volunteer committee, and they can help direct you to the right place. A big thank you to the Guy Fieri Foundation for lunch today. Another round of applause for them. Tammy, the woman that's here today, I think she's still in the cafe, has spent the last who knows how many days feeding the firefighters in LA. They have a great community outreach program providing food for first responders when we have emergencies in our communities, and we know what that feels like here in Lake County. I want to say thank you to PEG TV, Thomas DeWalt, and Bruno Sabatier make this event possible with the Overflow Classroom. I also wanted to mention that all of the sessions today are going to be recorded and posted to YouTube. So pick the sessions you want to see live, and just know that all of the sessions will be available to you after today. And then I also wanted to say a thank you to the Woodland Culinary Program and the Woodland Community Campus here in Lake County. They've been a huge asset for letting us host here. So with that, I have one ask from each and every one of you, and that is to attend these sessions with three things in mind. I ask that you connect with someone new today, whether you're a student from one of the culinary programs, if you're a new entrepreneur, or if you've been in this industry for a long time. Seek out someone new and see what's going on in their world. Walk away with one new idea. Try to find something that you haven't thought about before or something that might impact your business. And last is find one actionable item that might help your business and you could implement it in the next, say, 10 days to a month. The idea of this event is really for you to find something new, to implement it, and really raise the bar for our restaurant industry here in Lake County for both your success in your business and the success of our community. Last things. Restrooms are outside across the way. There are also water fountains out there if you need. There's water bottles in the cafe. And then if you've lost something or if you find something that's lost, please bring it to the registration table and we'll have sort of an informal lost and found there. At the end of the day, I will bring everything to the administrative office here at the college. So with that, I am going to turn this over to Joaquin. I'm going to introduce him briefly. He is the general manager of the Mercantile. Joaquin grew up in Lake County after his family immigrated to Kelseyville from Mexico when he was 5 years old. Joaquin's first job in hospitality was working for Worldmark in Nice, and then he was recruited to manage and maintain a 300-unit condominium complex in Windsor. He later worked for Kendall Jackson Wines as an asset and logistics manager for their Northern California operation. Fast forward to the grand opening of the Mercantile in 2021, where he first crossed paths with Clay Shannon. Their interaction really sparked his involvement with Shannon Wines, and he got his job and was on the job within a few days, I think you said. That chance meeting opened the door to working with the Shannon family of wines. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Joaquin. Please welcome Joaquin.
All right, so tell me if you can hear me perfectly back there. Yeah? All right, so hello everyone. Y buenas tardes. My name is Joaquin, and I'm honored to be here. I want to thank Nicole for inviting me and extending the invite to be part of this. I love everything she was saying, how this complements our community, how this uplifts our community, and how we can kind of feed off each other, help each other grow. So to me, that speaks volumes. I try to do that day in and day out with my platform and promote each other. As she said, if one of us wins and we continue to push each other, that's a way that we all can kind of uplift each other and uplift this community. So my hope today is that you learn something from me and that I make this feel a little bit more like a natural conversation, like in our natural elements where we work. Rather than a presentation, I understand that that's kind of the whole idea. But again, the goal is to make this a very passionate, intimate, personal conversation where it feels just natural. So we'll talk a little bit about, curating an experience at our local Mercantile with the inclusion of food, our growth, our partnership, and some personal experiences that I've had that basically go hand in hand with what we do in the hospitality industry. So I've been in hospitality for a little bit over 15 years, going on 20 years. In the last 3 years, as Nicole mentioned, I've been fortunate enough to be with the Shannon family of wines. I met Clay when he was doing the grand opening. We had a conversation about hospitality, and ultimately we were on the same page. And I was looking to kind of get back into the community, be part of it, because prior to that I was traveling outside of town, and I would not even get to see anybody or engage with anybody. So it was something that was in the back of my mind, and luckily enough and naturally enough, that happened, that came across, and the rest is history. So at the moment, if you guys haven't been to the Mercantile, and I'm thankful to say this, we've found a lot of success over the last 3 years. We do quite a bit throughout the week. On Tuesdays, we do Taco Tuesdays, and we during our peak season, you'll see pretty much the entire lawn. And we have 15 benches, 8 person per bench, so you can kind of do the math. Inside, we can fit about 60 people. So we've nurtured something where we involve local vendors, support our local community. We also do Thirsty Thursdays with a different food vendor, same time, 4 to 7. And one of our most popular things that we offer is on Friday, our pizza night. And that's the first thing that we started nurturing. I'll get to that. But we also do music from 4 to 7 every Saturday. So the reason why I highlight that is because, again, it's been a journey to build it up. But we get a good traffic, and I'm thankful to say this is the last weekend that we hosted 2 different events, two different music acts. We saw about 100 plus transactions on that Saturday. So during the times right now, those numbers do speak to us very highly because, again, it's a lot of work. But it just goes to show that we have the community support because we offer something authentic, something where it feels comfortable. People want to come out and support us, and we're consistent with what we're offering. So the whole idea is to talk about how we built that up from the beginning years to where we're at now and seeing those type of numbers. Hopefully that can kind of help spark some ideas, give you guys some ideas, teach you or learn from those type of processes that we've done, ironing out the wrinkles, things of that nature. So ultimately, we are a tasting room. So, diving into a little bit of the detail, we are a tasting room. And traditionally, as you guys know, a tasting room, people walk in there and they're looking to be a little bit more one-on-one, a little bit more time-consuming, right? But again, we're a little bit different, and we're looking to expand and utilize and I guess tap into all the opportunities. So we have a little bit of a different business model. So we do tasting room hours are 12 to 4. We do glasses and bottles from 4 to 7 during those specific events. So what I want to take away from that is, how do you get people to buy into that, right? Because it's a little bit of a different process than what people are normally used to. So the idea was to ultimately get the community to buy into that, where they understand that we have a little bit of a different business model. And the way you do that is simply by just staying consistent and communicating that with your guests in a way where they understand that it is a business. So as a business, the whole goal is to increase the bottom line, but provide something very genuine, very authentic. So again, we're a little bit unconventional, but I strongly feel that's what makes us unique. So personally, over the last 3 years, I feel like what we've curated there is, and I would define it as like a community hub. So the special part of this journey has been that to me, to see how the community comes behind you, where if you stay consistent and you provide a genuine experience, how the community will come there and support you. So that's been, for me, again, the beautiful part of all this is seeing the development and the growth. So jumping into the first year, that was the whole goal, and it still is the goal, is to nurture the experience. And throughout that year, there's going to be a lot of different challenges, ironing out the wrinkles, and ultimately just kind of seeing where the opportunity is. I remember the first year, because the name of the establishment is called the Mercantile. So it was more curated to offer a variety of different options, whether it was food, gifts, apparel, wine, of course, but it was kind of staged as a store. So little by little, as we started kind of building up the community and building up the following, we started seeing that there was more opportunities. So what we decided to do, and I pitched this to the owners, is I felt like we needed to rearrange the room. So what I'm trying to get at with that is just ultimately look for opportunities, see where there's opportunity to grow, so you can increase more business, get people into seats, expand the experience. But that was an opportunity that we saw in the first year, is ultimately rearranging where we can make it more of a personal or a personal experience, or an outing where people choose you to come and ultimately hang out with their family. And the more popular you get, the more room you're going to need, right? So again, the whole takeaway there is look for the opportunity. Don't be afraid to try something different. Whether it's rearranging the room, adding more seats where you can accommodate more individuals. But ultimately, that was the whole idea of the first year, is building a quality hospitality experience, making every interaction count. And of course, there's going to be bumps in the roads with everything that's new, any new business model. So address every concern and that a guest brings to you with high value, especially in our community, right? As we all know, everybody here is like, I can spot quite a few people that I see on the weekly or on the daily. So in our community, word of mouth goes a long way. It holds a lot of weight. People talk. So my suggestion would be, if you're looking to start a business, or if you're already in a business, if you're in the food industry, if you're in the hospitality industry, embrace all walks of life. Embrace diversity, make all feel welcomed. And to me, that's pretty simple. I feel like if we all carry ourselves like that, as Nicole was saying, this community is going to be that much better. So again, it's that simple. And it's little things that you do, right? When people walk through the door, that's what our team does, and there's no exception. We welcome everybody. So if you're walking through the door, it's just that simple. It takes 2 seconds. Say hello, introduce yourself. Good afternoon. My name's Joaquin. How can I help you? Or let me know if you have any questions. So that engagement, And ultimately, I feel like when people walk through the door, sometimes it's either curiosity, they want to see what's going on at the establishment, or word of mouth. But what makes them stay is that warm welcome, is you embracing that individual, you letting them know that you see them. And again, that will go a long way. There's this great video that Warren Buffett talks about how it's rare that you won't find someone that purchased something with you and you made them feel delightful, that won't come back. But if you make someone feel very uncomfortable, like you don't support or you don't appreciate their support, odds are they're either going to share that with their friends or family, and they won't be back to support, right? So that's what I mean by, the word of mouth in our community, what that holds, the weight that holds, the message that holds. But ultimately, I call that like a ripple effect. So if you have a bad experience, what are the probabilities that you'll share that with your family or friends? Would you say that there's a high probability, right? Or Facebook or a review. If you have a good experience, odds are you're going to probably suggest that to your family, friends, and sometimes even become ambassadors of that individual. So one thing that I've noticed is make every experience count, and I'll get to a couple of details here, but make every experience count, treat every encounter with value. You never know when you'll cross paths with those individuals again. And look at everything through a lens where, again, if you're having a positive experience, and odds are, because we are a small community and there's limited options here, but odds are if you have a great experience, you're going to want to bring your friends back. You're going to want to bring your family. A lot of us have family from out of town. A lot of friends come into town and visit us, and we're always looking to build an agenda and plan something out for those individuals that we want to show them a good time. Obviously pass our weekend and have a joyful weekend. But ultimately, I'll share a story with you of this gal that I met, who's super down to earth, high spirit, high energy. But her name is Mary. She came into the Mercantile one day and we were watching the Golden State Warriors. So this was like a couple years ago when they're in the playoffs. And she brings about 7 people with them because she came there before, had a glass, enjoyed the atmosphere, and wanted to bring her friends there because they happened to be in town and the game was on. So they're having a good time, they're hanging out, and it's all a lot of energy, a lot of uplifting energy. But point is, she brought her friends, they had a good time, and then a couple months go by, I see her again, a couple months go by, I run into her at the Blues Festival that a good friend of mine puts on and invited us there, over there at the Blue Wing, so shout out to the Blue Wing. But great experience, and I run into her there, and she introduces me to her friend, and her friend happens to have a catering business. And ultimately, we get to chatting. I tell her to come on by. I would love to, offer a tasting, and hopefully, in return, get some business out of that, but in a natural form, right, and in a welcoming form. So this whole last year, every other month, they would come by and pick up anywhere from 24 to 30 cases. So the highlight there is, you don't know when you'll cross paths with people again and what that will mean or what they represent or what they do. So to me, that's something very, very special, and that's something just authentic and unique that happened. This last time that they came by, and I want to say it was a couple months ago, they brought a Sprinter and they took 42 cases. So it's like a few shy of a pallet. So again, those opportunities, you just don't know where they're coming from. But the way you get there is, again, just treat every experience with value, right? Because again, you don't know what people's journey is. You don't know what people do for a profession. When they go out, they're looking to just unwind and forget all that. So if you compliment that, odds are there's going to be something positive, whether it's just a great experience or something along those lines. So make every encounter count. You'll continue to build your following. You'll continue to build your support through that. So that's ultimately what we did the first year, is nurture a quality experience. And then we wanted to add more, right? So we established the hospitality side of it. And then we realized that there was a little bit more opportunity where you're gauging the reception of your guests. And a lot of our guests were telling us, we need some food. And again, if you keep people there entertained, odds are they're going to engage more, support more, purchase more. So it all kind of equates to a great day of business. So the whole idea with the food inclusion was to make it known that every Friday, and we started out with pizza night, so that's why I'm referencing that, but to make it known that every Friday from 4 to 7, you know that there's pizza and wine happening at the Mercantile. So if you're driving by and you see all these cars, you know what's going on. If you're leaving work and you're wondering, hey, I kind of want to just go grab a little something or have a glass, you know what's going on there. So in those type of like things also come from just experiences on a daily basis. And what I'm getting at with that is when I was working with Jackson Family Wines, I would leave to the Sonoma area because I was in Geyserville, that's where the offices were. But I would leave to Sonoma, and usually around 12 o'clock, 12 to 3, I would see this truck, no promotion, no decals, bare truck just sitting off the little corner spot off the highway. But every single day that I would leave, I would see like a great amount of cars there, just hanging out, getting some food. And to me, that just spoke volumes because, again, there was no promotion. It wasn't like this truck was just highlighted or, screaming at you. But the idea, what I believe is that they were always showing up. They were always there during that time. So they were providing a consistent experience, a consistent offering. So that's where that inspiration came from. That's the conversation we had is we wanted to make something that everybody knows or our community knows that on that day, during those hours, that's what's happening. But the challenge there is being consistent. But I would say that's our blueprint: is be consistent with what you offer. Essentially, the idea is training the consumer or training the community to know that, right? And have you guys ever seen the movie Focus with Will Smith and Margot Robbie? Does that ring a bell to anybody? Yeah. So in that movie, there's a cool scene, right, where there's this gambling addict that they're trying to train him by showcasing, like, throughout his day, his routine. They're training this guy to see like a specific number, right? So when the time comes and they make a bet with this guy, he naturally just brings up the number in his head. So I feel like that's kind of like what we do is when people are thinking of what to do, you're naturally, the community will naturally choose you. The community will naturally know that that's an option for you. So I share that to say those are little moments, again, where it's a reference of what we do is as we're offering that consistent experience where the community will choose you naturally. So initially, the first year, we were building up Pizza Night. Going into the second year, we continued to build it up to the point where during summer, and again, this is just a reference as if you offer something quality, people will show up, people will provide you support. But during summer, we have, just to reference, we have 15 tables, and each table, again, sits about 8 people. Inside, we do about 60. You will see just a crowd of individuals just hanging out, having a good time. And again, that's where that comfort comes in. That's where you making people feel welcome. That's where that really, really pays off. But they'll come in with their family. Some people will have, a baseball and a mitt. Some people will have a football. Some people bring their picnic tables, or should I say their ponchos, right, and lay them out and just make a picnic of it from what we're offering. So they'll support us, but they're all just looking to have a good time. So that's when I say I feel like we've built a community hub. That's kind of a reference of that. And if you guys have driven by, or have you guys driven by the Mercantile on a Friday night or a Saturday, would you say that some of that kind of reflects on what I'm saying? So again, that's kind of where it started. And then again, looking for more opportunity, we're seeing that this business model works. So we started reaching out to another local food vendor who partners up with us on Tuesdays. So we do our Taco Tuesdays with Chilanguitas, which is a local food restaurant right down the road on this side of the lake. But ultimately, we were gauging, we were going around seeing what kind of food they offer, and they stood out. Everything that they do, they're passionate behind. The owner shows up on those Tuesdays. They make sure that their quality is there. They're very personal. They market for themselves too. So that's always a plus. So the takeaway there is if you're going to partner up with someone, make sure that they're on the same page. Make sure that they're willing to show up every single day on that day for those hours. And sometimes it doesn't always look pretty, right? We go through, like, a lot of hospitality is weather dependent. So you got to expect a little bit of a bumpy road. But the whole idea is to get them to buy into the vision, and you complement each other. So Taco Tuesday started building up, and I would have to say, like, on our peak season, it's very, very similar to how Fridays look. And again, that's just by that consistency of hospitality, that consistency of what you're offering, and just embracing, everybody coming in and making sure everybody's having a good time, checking in on people. I got to say, shout out to Weston back there. He does a phenomenal job of that. I have a solid relationship with this man, and he represents that as well, right? He's always checking on his tables, checking on the guests, welcoming people in, and that's all energy that just complements the options in our community and the business in our community. So as I think I might have hit something there. That's cute. I don't know how to get this back, but I'm just going to continue. So going into more opportunities. So we do Toasty Thursdays with a different food vendor. It's more of a pop-up, but again, we're looking to build this entity and offer what we do with Taco Tuesdays and Pizza Fridays. And then in addition to that, the first year we were doing music just on holidays, 4th of July, Labor Day weekend. But when you start building up and you start building a following, those are like where you want to take measured risks, right? So we decided to roll the dice and say, let's invest a little bit more and do music every Saturday. And that's, to me, you just never know how that goes, right? Because you're asking the community to show up every Saturday and provide return on investment. So the one thing that I feel is special about those Saturdays is that we always invite a different food vendor. So it gives people opportunity to kind of establish yourself. And that's all just a conversation away, stopping by. And sometimes it's ideal as far as the vision. Sometimes it might be a little different. But what I would say, the takeaway from that is know your product, know what you want to offer. And if it's quality and you can do a fast turnaround, that's where the business is at. That's where the reward's going to be. But be ready to embrace volumes. I think that is also key, because sometimes you want to nurture a large menu, but sometimes you don't even need that. If you have a key offering like our Dough Baby partner that we do, that's all they do. They don't veer off. They're not trying to do something different. It's just that authentic classic pizza, and as we know, that complements wine pretty well. Any questions? No? All right. Yep.
Do you take a percentage of the food sales, or is it just sort of a symbiotic relationship between the vendor and you selling your wines?
So the first 2 years, no, it was all about building the experience. Again, promoting each other. And that's where like that magic does happen, right? Is if you're complimenting each other, everybody's going to be happy. But as business continues to grow, that's always a conversation that might come up and might be something to look into. But yeah, the first years, that wasn't even anything that we would even entertain.
I've just always wondered when you get a food truck for an event. I mean, we do events, but we've never done food trucks, and whether you pay them or they pay you.
Right. No, it's meant to complement both businesses. It's great promotion for both. And again, what Nicole was talking about and what this whole event is to provide support for each other, right? Uplift the community, do something well that complements both parties. But to answer your question, no. Yeah.
You might have to repeat some of the questions that they asked. I don't know if they can hear.
Oh,
or
did you guys hear what she asked? No? Oh, okay. So she asked if we'd take a percentage from our vendors when we partner up with them. And I responded that the first 2 years we did not. It was all about complementing the business for each other. All right. And then so to tie a couple of these things in, and I think everybody's on the same page with this, is you can have all this great activity, all this success, or, a growth, but the main thing, and if not, the big part of the foundation is your team, right? I mean, you look at you point out any reference, whether it's a team, football team, a restaurant, it requires a team to curate an experience. So what I'm getting at with that is make sure that the people that are working hard for you, you're working hard for, right? So if you work hard for your team will work hard for you. And a lot of that is buying into the vision, buying into the company's vision. and ultimately providing support, working through lunches, taking out trash, cleaning up, whatever it takes to let your team know that you're there for them and you're not asking them to do something that you wouldn't do. And I think everybody, whether it's a clinic or not, any type of leadership, I think that's what nurtures a great working environment, right? Is when the leader is willing to not do this, but be on the ground doing what you're doing as well. So ultimately, build up your team, really, really take that into accountability and people that are there with the same vision to the point where, everybody's reading the room, everybody's looking for opportunity. This past Saturday when we had the event, it was pretty nice. It was great to see, especially so early in the year. As we all know, in restaurants, there's always a little bit of a downtime. There's always a little bit of a, just in general, a downtime before the peak season, right? And this Saturday and the last Saturday, there was a time frame where everything was just kind of cruising. Everybody was just easy flow. And then out of nowhere, 20 people started showing up, 30 people started showing up, to the point where we had a little bit over 100 people in that area. And the reason why I'm referencing that, I remember just because, again, we just finished 2024, and now we're back at it, looking to provide the same experience and hopefully have the same success, the same or more additional growth. But I remember seeing some of my team members looking for opportunities where people were leaving because they had, concluded their experience, and people were waiting. So within like 2 minutes, one of my team members got up, cleaned that table, and is ready for turnaround. So that's what I mean by, if you have a strong team, those are like the important things that people really don't see, but it makes the world of difference, where everybody's just on the same page, everybody's supporting each other, no one feels like someone's doing more than the other. And at the end of the day, it just feels like the time flew and everybody had a good time. So make a welcoming work environment. So ultimately, keep that in mind when you're interviewing people, when you're looking to go in business, partnerships, investors. That's what I would say, is make sure you have a solid team and everybody's on the same page. Everybody has the same vision. So a little story, a little bit random, but ultimately it ties in to what I was saying, is how we share these experiences with one another. Last year, I went to this restaurant over in Mill Valley, and I remember we were walking in, and the energy just felt so right. Everybody was just, you could tell everybody was on the same page. And anytime we go anywhere, I'm not sure if you guys do this, but anytime I go anywhere, I always look up to see what that establishment offers, who's involved, to see if there's familiar faces or get some energy of what to expect. So I'm looking through the page and I see a lot of familiar faces in like a lot of posts. So when we get there, these individuals that I learned to find out that they're either investors or owners, they're on the floor as well. So they're also curating the experience, and to the point where one of the owners brings us our plate. So what I'm saying is, that's what I mean by team, right? You're guiding your team, you're an owner, but you're willing to be in the trenches with your team. That restaurant recommends another place. It ends up being, and I started connecting the dots, but it ends up being the same ownership, just a different curated experience. And when we get there, I see the gentleman that brought us our plate, he's behind there bartending now. And ultimately, he whispers a little something to the other bartender, and I come to find out, he's like, oh, you guys were just at this restaurant over there, right? So they went out of their way to make us feel that much more welcomed, and they do little things like that. So this is the takeaway from that, is when you see that support system, you want to let people know that you're thankful for that support. So we went to 2 other restaurants, and by the time I got my check, it felt like it was a fraction of what should have gotten. I'm not saying discount things, but do little things that highlight that experience. So when I got my plate initially the first time, the bartender provided us a little bit of Cabernet. So little touches like that make that experience, that highlight your stay there and why you're there, that you're investing into that individual or into that company, that all goes a long way. And so I feel like we do that, tenfold at the Mercantile. We always see a lot of familiar faces, and as we all know, right now is like dry January, right? So some people are coming and aren't drinking, but they're still coming to support. So I mentioned that to say things that we do at the Mercantile is little similar things like that. Like I had some friends that came in on Friday that are doing dry January, but they go to the fridge and they have a non-alcoholic beverage, but they still want to engage, by the time that gentleman comes up to me, I already had gone and grabbed 2 glasses, had him there waiting, and he started making loose conversation with me. And he's like, but I'll take 2. And he looks down, and the glasses are already there. So little things like that just make the world of difference. Again, we don't do tastings after 4, but we always offer a tasting to those individuals if they're looking to make a decision. We might not go through the full, educational part of it. We'll break down a little bit notes, but those little offerings go a long way. It makes you feel like you are being appreciated. So again, those stories, hopefully that's what you guys are taking away, is those little gestures that make you want to come back, make you seen or feel seen, make you feel appreciated. So don't overlook those little things. And again, sorry if I bring you up again, Weston, but Weston does a great job with that as well. So he always makes it personal. And that's what I'm trying to say, is make it personal, make your customer feel that they are being appreciated for their support. Any questions about anything?
I have one. How do you accommodate your families with the kids and whatnot? Is there things to do? Do you bring that in?
So we do have a few games in the back.
Repeat the question so that the room in the other part of the building can.
So the question was, how do you accommodate families, right? And what was the second part of that?
Well, with the kids, what do you do for them for entertainment?
So we do have a couple options. Like we do provide some games that you can actually purchase there. We do have a Connect 4 in the back. We do cornhole. We have a couple of different free games, but we also have a couple of things that might entertain, the little ones. But in addition to that, we are also pet friendly too. So a lot of tasting rooms, a lot of wineries, that's sometimes a big no-no because it just creates a lot of chaos or potential chaos. But all about communication, right? So when people call, they ask, is this kid friendly or is this dog friendly? And we always do welcome that. We always just put it on them to be responsible, to obviously watch their kids. And if they have a dog, to make sure that they're on the leash where they're not bothering other guests and affecting the experience. So we welcome that, but I think the takeaway would be communication. Just let them know that we are, but there is a responsibility behind that. Any other questions? Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate this. Nicole, thank you so much for inviting me out. I'm hoping that I gave you guys a little bit of information where spark some ideas, give you some ideas. Again, if you're looking to curate an experience, looking to go into business, or if you're already in business where some of this might, switch up a couple things, couple ideas, and give you guys some growth or give you guys inspiration. Thank you guys so much.
Well, that guy's really cute, but I'm not sure where he came from. Thank you, Joaquin. Couple of notes. We're going to take a quick break because we have to divide this classroom to make 2 different sessions in here. So if you are in the culinary career pathways session next, you're going to go up to room 150. If you are in room 211, I can't remember which session it's going to be, you're going to end up coming through this door over here that Clarissa's at. And then if you're in 209, you're going to come back through these doors over here. Please give your evaluations to someone on the way out the door, or you can just turn it upside down and leave it at your table, and we'll have somebody come pick it up. I didn't mention this earlier, but those evaluations are very important to us. They really are something that we look back on to create next year's program. So please be thoughtful and let us know what you think so we can take your opinions and your thoughts into consideration for next year. Thanks so much. We'll be back in just a few minutes.